Hello, today we'll talk about lesson 74, chapter 2. This is the keywords that will help you to study lesson 74. Tools you need to study this lesson. Please watch this video. It's about comparing unit fraction with numerator 1. Put less than or greater than or equal. Which is the greater? Half, 1 over 2, or fourth, 1 over 4. Look at the denominator. There is here 2 and here 4. The fraction that has the smallest numerator has the biggest fraction. Who has the smallest denominator? Yes, the half. It has 2. Look at the pizza. It's a half pizza. It's more than fourth pizza. So half bigger than fourth. First, write the fraction. 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 1 out of 12. And here 1 over out of 3 because it's 3 parts. Now, which fraction is the greater fraction? Look at the denominator. The fraction that has the smallest denominator, it has the biggest fraction. Who is the smallest? 12 or 3? 3 is the smallest. So a third is the biggest fraction. Write first the fraction 1 over, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here 1 out of 12. The fraction that has the smallest denominator, it is the biggest fraction. So 1 over 9 or 1 over 12? 9s or 12s? 9s because it has the smallest denominator. Circle the biggest fraction. Which unit fraction is the biggest? 1 over 8 or half? Look at the denominator. I have here 8 and I have here 2. So the smallest denominator, the biggest fraction. So I have here 2, so half is the biggest. To show my work, I will do a split model. 8, 1 shaded out of 8. Half, 1 shaded out of 2. So the biggest fraction is half. Which is the greatest or biggest fraction, unit fraction? I have here third and I have here fifth. Look at the denominator. The unit fraction that has a smallest denominator, it is the biggest unit fraction. So 3 or 5. 3 is the smallest denominator, so third is the greatest unit fraction. To show my work, I will do split model. Third, 1 out of 3. Fifth, 1 out of 5. Third or seventh? Third, look at the denominator. The fraction that has the smallest denominator, the biggest fraction. So 3 smaller than 7, so third is the greatest fraction. I have here 9 and whole 1. 9, it's a unit fraction. It's apart from the model part, a small part, 9s. But the whole one, it is the whole square, whole shape. So 1 always the biggest than the unit fraction. 1 always bigger than a unit fraction. 6 and 4. Which is the greatest fraction? The fraction that has the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction. 4 or 6? 4 is the smallest, so 4 is the greatest fraction. 8 and a half. 2, Smaller than 8, so half greater than 8. Twelves or 15s. The fraction that has the smallest denominator, it is the biggest fraction. So compare between 12 and 15. 12 is the smallest, so it is the bigger fraction. 27s or 7s. The fraction that has the smallest denominator, it is the biggest fraction. So the biggest fraction is 7s because 27 bigger than 7. Put greater than or less than or equal. This is half, 1 out of 2, and this is fourth. Which is the greatest fraction? Half. Look at here. 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is sevenths, and here is fifths. So 7 or fifths is the biggest fraction. Look at the biggest part. Yes, fifths bigger. I have here third, 1 out of 3, and I have here 2 thirds, so there's equal fraction, equal parts. Look at here, which is the greatest fraction or greatest part? I have here 3 parts, like here, half. Look, the 2 parts are equal. Half or third? Half or third, which has the biggest part or shaded part? The half. Also, look at the denominator. I have here 2 and I have here 3. So the smallest denominator, the biggest fraction. Fifth or fourth. Look at the shaded part. Who has the biggest shaded part? Yes, fourth. And look at the denominator. Who has the smallest denominator? 4. So fourth is the biggest. 8 or fourth? 8 or 4? Look at the smallest denominator. It has the biggest fraction. 8, 1 out of 8, and 4th. Look at the shaded part. Who has the biggest shaded part? It is the greatest fraction. Half or tenth? Look at the big shaded part. Yes, half has the biggest shaded part. And also, I have in half 2 in the denominator and 10 in tenths. I have 10 in the denominator in tenths. So the fraction that has smallest denominator is the biggest fraction. So half is the biggest. Seventh or 1. Always 1 is bigger than any unit fraction that has 1 in the numerator. Unit fraction has 1 in the numerator, so 1 is always bigger. Look at the shaded part. The 1 is bigger part, bigger shaded than the seventh. Tenth or ninth. I have here 9 in the denominator, I have here 10 in the denominator, so ninth bigger than tenth because it has the smallest denominator. Sixth bigger than or smaller than 1. 1 whole 1 always bigger than any unit fraction that has 1 in the numerator. So whole 1 or 6. Look at the big shaded part here. Yes, 1. Half or fifth. 2 in the denominator, 5 in the denominator. So half is bigger than fifth. Compare solve problem. Malik needs quarter liter of oil and fifth liter of milk to make cupcakes. Will Malik use more oil or milk? So I have here fourth liter, there is liter, fourth liter of oil and fifth liter of milk. So which is the greatest? Fourth or fifths. I have here 4 in the denominator and 5 in the fifths. So fourth is bigger than because it has the smallest fraction. So Malik will use oil more. Rahma had a chocolate cake, while Sarah had a vanilla cake of the same size. Rahma cut her cake into 8 pieces. 8. While Sarah cut her cake into 6 pieces. If each girl take a part of her cake, so I have Rahma has 8 and Sarah has 6. Who has the bigger part? Which girl gets the large part? I have here 8, I have here 6. So 6 is this bigger because it has the smallest denominator. So Sarah has the large. Ashraf needs to cut a piece of wood to make a chair. He needs 50 meter for the top. So there is 2 parts of wood. First one is he cuts into 5 parts and take fifths, and second part he take fourths. So he cut it into 4 parts and take fourths. So which part is piece of wood is bigger, the fifth part or the fourth? Who has the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction, is the biggest part. So fourth is the biggest. We finished this lesson and we know how to compare between two unit fractions and solve problem about comparing. These words will help you to study lesson or prepare lesson 75. Thank you.